Hello viewers, Super GT here, and we are driving a car, obviously, with loads of power. Not obviously. So the Aston Zagato, we've gone for an all-out power tune, pretty much anyway, and we're going to see how it goes in S-Class around Hockenheim. So full-out power, handling is decent, braking is decent, and, well, the lobby isn't decent. We've made it through turn 1 cleanly, but obviously going through 2 turns, that's a bit of a stretch really. So Nissan GTR comes out of nowhere, destroys the race that was going on there. So we're going to try to open this car up down the long straight, which isn't straight, that Hockenheim, into the hairpin. You see how much of a speed advantage I've got over the Volvo there, into the hairpin, so I'm very wide and up into 5th place. Now here is where you're going to see just how ferocious this car is on the power. Really, if you do not hold back on the throttle coming out of the corners, you are going to become a victim of the car basically. And this Lotus is just going to push me wide for no real reason. So I'm in the gravel and just rejoining the circuit, 7th place. A little bit down now. Try and do our best here to try to at least get 6th place at the very worst as we enter the stadium section. And coming in, Lotus should be able to get a better run through there than I have, but he hasn't really. Porsche coming back onto the track, going to go up the inside of the Lotus, and you know what, I'm not really sorry about doing that, to be honest, because we're even now, let's put it that way. So up into 6th place, I gained a position there but lost one as well. The Porsche moving well out of the way as we've gone through the second to last turn into the final turn, having to be really patient on that throttle. You see the car is eager to go, and if you just put it down that little bit too much, the throttle, it will just slide everywhere. First apex, hitting it nicely, watch out for the curb, don't want to accelerate fully. If you've got your 2 wheels on that curb, it will mess you up in nasty ways. Second turn, hooked up nicely. So despite having so much power, it's actually still an overall decent car to drive. I mean, it's not like one of these absolute missiles which has literally zero handling. You can actually drive this car, which is actually useful. It's actually, I find it useful to be able to drive it, you know. Some cars, I mean, I've had tunes of like the Lotus Esprit, which is literally just impossible to drive on the corner. On a straight line it's okay, like Daytona, but then as soon as you're going on anything that resembles a turn, you're pretty much toast. So moving ahead, we are on lap number 2, coming to the stadium section. The first 3 guys were miles ahead, and they've obviously come to some weird arrangement here because they're all slowing down, trying to let each other through, trying to be nice to each other. And I come through here, I just open up the steering a little bit too much, and 100% my fault. I wiped out that guy, and I was going to wait for him, but it turns out that, well, unfortunately he wanted to quit after that. I did send him a message afterwards, and there was no hard feelings. So we're going to have to continue the race. Obviously it's disappointing to accidentally do that, but it's happened and we can't undo it. Let's try to reel these top 3 back in. 2 more laps here at Hockenheim, and 3 positions left to try to get, and they're right in front of us. So it'll be interesting to see if I can actually do this. So this is where I'm going to really have to maximise my lap time on the longest straight section here, which again isn't straight. But anyway, 2 temps up on my best, and we're really going to reel in the Lamborghini ahead of us. Is it a Lamborghini? I believe it is, yes. Into the hairpin. He goes very deep actually, goes very wide. You know, they're leaving that space on the exit because he is going to drive back past as I'm really careful on the throttle. Thinking about going up the inside, and I do it into the turn. A little bit of grass cutting, but you didn't see anything there. And we're going to get in. I was going to say we're going to get in towards the apex, but we didn't really at all. Missing it by quite a way, sorry. And then this is the really tricky corner as well. Plenty of curb there, which can be very nasty for you. That really can give you some bad results if you hit that at the wrong angle. So looking up the inside of the Lamborghini, and well, actually I think he saw me there and he kind of just turned out, gave me all the space that I needed, thankfully. And then coming through the final couple of corners, I'm just going to try to really plant the car down as much as possible, try to make it hard for him, and I go actually just getting on that throttle, and I'm just going to go for a massive Ken Block-esque slide, and I think it puts him off entirely. Look at that, it actually puts him off, and he starts sliding through the corner more than I did, and that's in his Lamborghini, which I'd imagine is a lot better handling than this car. Anyway, we are going to try to catch up with the Ferrari up ahead. He's obviously got too far away with that poor final sector, and now coming onto the long straight we can try to reel him back in. The guy in the lead has pulled away by a good 1,000 feet at least now, so it's going to be very unlikely to get him unless he gets killed by a backmarker, which actually is probably odds on given that this is Forza. But coming into the hairpin, getting on the brakes nicely there, a little bit of a lock up at the end, we can cut through for a late apex and shifting up into third gear, accelerating really in a straight line, because if you're turning while accelerating in this car, you will end up dead pretty much. So we've caught up massively. But the first sector around this track is the strong sector of this car, given how mainly it's got the long straights and we need the straight line for unleashing the power. But coming to the final sector, there's a lot more turns, not really any straights up here. I'm going to go for a lunge, not a very clean one, so I'm going to have to leave him the space on the outside. Little drag race into the left-hander. He's got the inside line, he's going to force me out for a wide line. I'm going to give him that space there and grind that one. Not really much point in fighting that one around the outside, not in a car which has bad handling. So what I'm going to try and do here, just try and match him through the final couple of turns, then out-drag him to the line. Is it going to happen? He's actually made a mistake through the final turn. And now I can finally get the power down. It's a short run to the line, but just long enough to overhaul him and get through into second place. So good tactics there really. If you've got a car with power, you don't really have to always go for it. You can just wait until you get to a straight and then just easily blast past, as I did there. So we're going to turn our attention to Silverstone, the Grand Prix circuit. I'm on pole position, but easily losing a good 50 feet or so there to the guy in the Viper. Lucky to not get collected by that guy behind as we go through turn number 2. I've got the inside line now for turn number 3. Fairly early on the brakes. I'm a little bit deep. You see there, the car doesn't really like to turn in too much. It's kind of a very stiff car in terms of low speed turning. So the Viper is going to pull away on low end acceleration, going a little bit sideways through there, not good. So we're going to lose a good 100 feet or so to the leader. Hopefully claw some of that back as we come down the long Wellington straight and maybe a little bit deep into the braking zone. But coming through into this corner here, really you want to go in early, trail brake, come out a little bit and then maximise a straight exit if you can, which I have done. So we're going to try to pull up towards the Dodge Viper once again on the old main straight. Coming into Copse corner, a very fast right hander sweeping through here, and I just had a nervous twitch through the centre of the turn, keeping 2 wheels on the curb though, and the curbs are notoriously bad around this circuit, very dangerous. You really do not want to get your wheels in the wrong place. So caught up with the Viper, just going to try to match him through this turn. As I say, we're coming up to a long straight, so if I can just match him, I can wait for the straight and try to overhaul him here. Tucking into that slipstream, let's maximise that speed as we pull over to the left hand side and quite easily go past into the lead. We're going to trail brake into the turn and just force him very narrow and just hold him there. He couldn't really do too much there. He could have accelerated, but he would have gone into me, so he had to back out. So now that I'm in the lead in a car with straight line speed but not as much handling, I kind of just have to back him up a little bit in some of the corners. So through the final turn, I'm going to just get the curb on the edge, and you can see there, that is exactly what you do not want to do on a lot of these tracks, so like Silverstone and Circuit of the Americas, and you just do not want to get your outside wheels or any of your wheels on the edge of the curb, because it will just murder you, and they have done there. So I've fallen victim to the curb, and that's not the first time that's happened. Should really learn my lesson. So we've got a Viper and a Stradale up the inside, so we're going to try to overhaul these two guys. So unfortunately that might have turned out to be a really good race between myself and the other Viper for the lead, but now it's going to be a battle for third place at best, I think. first and second are a long way gone, and I nearly did it again there. Got my outside wheels on the edge of the curb, and I could have been murdered for the second time this lap, or second time in half a lap. So luckily surviving that one. Now coming through again, just going to take a really narrow line just to make sure that they can't got the inside and overtake me on the exit. So just holding it really narrow there, and we've just done it, done enough to block them off. So now I can unleash the power and pull out that gap. So at the end of the race, and that was pretty much it, I've just managed to pull away slightly from the guy behind, but it wasn't only going to be a third place, unfortunately. Could have been a good win, that one, but we moved to circuit of the Americas, once again on pole position. To be honest, I think I need it. I need to just get that clear air to begin with. So initially the launch isn't that great, but once it does get going in second and third gear, it really does move quite nicely. And wow, that guy obviously didn't know the left trigger is the brake pedal. Going flying into the first turn. Perhaps he thought we were doing the long configuration, or perhaps he just wanted to ram us. That's the very likely explanation. And we're going to come out of that in 9th after all that argy-bargy. Turned out to not be a very good start at all, going down 8 positions. So again, Circuit of the Americas, just as I said, this is another circuit where you've got to watch out for those curbs, the murderous curbs on Forza Motorsport. Hopefully that's sorted for Forza 7, because it's really quite irritating getting your life ruined or ended by a curb. Hopefully that ends on the next instalment. We're coming up the main straight, so it's a 6-lapper, and the Audi's just going to move across there. So I'm going to leave it a little bit of a boost up the inside. We can go for the lunge, very narrow, and I think the Audi actually got wiped out there by someone braking way too late. So I've actually gone up into 3rd place. So trying to reel in the top 2, and they've got a good couple of 100 feet on me, but I do have all the power in the world. So this is really one of those tracks. It's a weird one. Let me put it that way. You obviously got the very long straight, but then you've got lots of corners as well. So it's kind of an all-rounder kind of circuit. But I do find that power does tend to do well around here, in my experience. So we're going to round out lap number 2 and see if we can try to reel these guys in. And then by the end of lap 4, you can see I've done just that. So I've actually caught up, maybe halved the margin that I had. So we do have a chance here. We've got 2 laps remaining. So let's see how I tackle this issue of trying to get past these 2 guys. So the guy in 2nd place in a BMW. I think one of the leaders is in the Renault 5. And I think he's gone for a power tune as well. So he'll have plenty of straight line speed. Now this corner here messes me up. I mean, this one, it ruins my life pretty much every time I go through it. Really nasty curbs, inside and outside, big tyre wall on the inside. It really is a recipe for death, basically. And into the final turn. On the brakes quite nicely. Very sharp corner, this one. And getting through there quite nicely. Nicely done. 1 lap remaining. Can we tuck into the slipstream here and go for a move maybe into turn 1? The BMW is actually very quick as well in a straight line, so I think he's gone for a power build, because this car is an absolute rocket, and it really works well on tracks like Watkins Glen, especially the alternate version without the chicane. So massive long straights, and then the corners aren't too slow either. What you don't really want in this kind of car is slow corners, because accelerating out of them, there's basically 0 traction. And just going to lose so much time. So up the inside, I've got the move into 2nd. I'll go defensive, force him to the outside line. We've got a rally fight here trying to wipe us out, and he's just absolutely making a mockery of himself, because he's absolutely failed to hit any of us. So that's actually the biggest fail of the year. We crossed the line in 2nd place, so it's actually not a too bad result in the end. Despite a poor start, managing to reel the guys in at the front, and they're getting a fairly good lap time as well while we're at it. So there we go. The Aston Martin V12 Zagato, tuned by JSR LeeCampbell, of course. Thank you very much. And it's yours. It's available to be downloaded as a beastly A-Class power tune, or sorry, S-Class power tune. But that's it from me today, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video as always. Do hit the like button if you did enjoy. I shall see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.